one of the things that really inspired us to like just go for it all was like COVID. Nobody like, this COVID junk, like really like our kids were all in public school during that time. And like, we've always talked about, oh, we'd love to like homeschool or unschool our own kids and do our own thing with them. But like him being gone all the time and, me trying to work full time from home was just like the idea of having 5 kids at home all the time didn't seem like it was realistic. But then like this, COVID and all the rules and all this stuff and all, it's just like, we were like, all right, it's time to like fully remove ourselves from that rat race, from the matrix, unplug and really just trust in what we're doing and then just do it. So that was really a huge motivator in like, there's nothing to lose, right? Like everyone's losing their jobs. Everybody's, it was just this time where it just felt right for us to like, just go for it. And so we did, and just fully trusted that the universe would align. And it was a really, really good decision. Yeah. Not to say it wasn't without stress, but, overall, like that was definitely the silver lining through the chaos that really helped us wake up to like, what are we doing? Why are we even trying to fit into all this stuff? Like, we don't need to. Like, this isn't what life is about.
For sure. I mean, I think COVID itself and the pandemic served as catalysts for so many people to do different things, to try something new, but it's still scary, right? It's still not like, oh, you won't lose anything. Like you could lose a lot through it all, and you're used to your ways. And I think one of the things that came up for me when I was listening to your story, Ben, is I feel like we have these old belief systems. Like you're taught from a young age, listen, you're either going to work in the oil fields or you're going to be a fisherman. Anything outside of that is like, it's not in your belief system to actually accomplish that. And I think you sort of saw that in that struggle of like, okay, I want to do this, but this life is what was supposed to be for me. It was told to me, and that's in my belief system running. What was it that helped you break free for both of you, let's say, for you, Ben, to even go after that running and leave the oil fields, which can be a lucrative, and much more, I would say you have something to fall back on, right? It's not like it's this risky jump into something new, like starting a company to do retreats. So what was it for both of you? I say that was the trigger, because it can't just be COVID, because then I feel like so many more people will be doing it. And you still are in a very small minority of breaking free of old belief systems and being able to take that leap of faith into something new.
Well, for me, during the beginning of 2020, there was already a shift in her and I, before the pandemic hit, and COVID and all that what we weren't really happy with our situation. Steph was at home working full time. The kids were in school and I was gone all the time. My job was on call. So even if I was home for a few days, like we couldn't go anywhere. I didn't know if my phone was going to ring and then I'd be gone for 2 days or 2 weeks. And, Steph, the work that she had was pretty good. And, looking at the whole picture on, what could we do together for our family that we could really strengthen our relationship with our kids, spend more time together, and do what we want to do and follow our passions. That was the conversation we ended up having. And so, we looked at what would work, and it made sense for me to quit my job and for her to stay working for a while. I mean, we could get by just fine. And so I started spending more time with the kids. I just pretty much up and quit my job a few months later. And, in that amount of time, we're trying to figure out what it is we could really, do that would make us happy. And so we just found out what our passions were again, and mine was running. And so that was what I had always really wanted to do. And it had always been sitting in the back of my mind for so many years. I just never really had the opportunity to do it, and never really set up my life to where I feel like I could. And so once I quit my job, that was just, one thing that, I decided was where I wanted to go again.
And I think to add to that too, is that you never had the opportunity to like be home, period, be with the kids, experience that part of your life. Like you were working to provide money to the home. And for me, I had already kind of been on this journey of like, intentionally changing things for a few years in that aspect. I worked in I went into nursing because, so I guess so growing up, I'm Native American, and I realized that my family was just disproportionately more sick than other people. Like, I'm like, why is my family sick? Like, why does this part of my family have higher incidences of diabetes, cancer, heart disease? Why are they just so much more sick than everybody else? This makes no sense. So I'm going to figure out how to solve that. I mean, that was my thinking as a child. And so I initially went to school to be an elementary education teacher with focus on Ojibwe language and culture. And my plan was to work in like the Native population. And like, I'm going to be a teacher and work with the kids because there's something to do with the kids. I know it's about the kids and I don't know what that means, but I'm going to solve the world. I'm going to heal all the natives. I'm going to heal all, my family. It's, I'm going to break generational, all this stuff. And then I started working in schools and realized, oh, that's not it. So I went back to school again and went into nursing this time. And all along, kind of my thing was the anti-nurse because I never wanted to work in hospitals. I never wanted to do anything like that. I wanted to work with community health and focus on like health and wellness instead of that. And so I just remember in nursing school, my colleagues and classmates were like, why are you even here? Because when it came to clinical rotations, like I did not want anything to do with working with sick people or in the ICU or any of that. So but I did gravitate toward psych. And so once I graduated college from my nursing, I worked in child neuropsych. So I worked a lot with like children and adolescents with autism and really, focused on that for many years. But then I realized like, wait. The reason I went into this was so that I could work in prevention, period. So I'm like, I got to get out of this for the money. It's not about the money. It's not about, so I started researching other ways to do that and worked in public health. And then I realized that was not right either, especially working for the government was like not at all what I needed to be doing. And I was like way off on that. So I, then Casper, when you and I met is when I had just started working as a consultant doing, different work with mostly related to community health and addiction, but really trying to bridge the gap between the community, the healthcare system, and like looking at the multi-layers of like what is broken in our system and how can we fix it, and what are some community ways, like how can we bring community together. And so I was working as a nurse consultant, and then I had my own consulting company for quite a few years. And so I had been doing that, but still realizing that like that wasn't enough. So what is actual prevention? What is prevention? Like, how can I actually help my family? How can I help my kids and their kids and all of the future generations? And like, the more I dove into like the mind, body, spirit aspect of myself, I'm realizing, oh my gosh, like it's all about like consciousness. Like I need to create a company to shift the collective consciousness of the world, right? Like that's going to solve all the problems. And so that's just my way of like how I process things and how I think. So then I started my company called MindBloom, which is really holistic alternative health coaching and workshops. And that's what the retreats grew out of. So, but yeah, I kind of am rambling again. That's my thing. So I apologize for that. But all that to come back around to like, so I was doing that work, and while watching Ben go to work in the oil fields and be miserable and sick and like not taking time to care for himself and not doing the things he's passionate about and not doing any of that. And I was just like, this doesn't fit. This is not what I know who you are. Like, you are like, so it just made sense for me to offer him the opportunity that he's never had to like really be home and connect with himself in a way that he needs to nourish his mind, body, spirit, to nourish his relationship with the kids. And then for us to be able to like actually look at the things that we love and the things that we love, the things that we're passionate about, and like what the world needs, and then create from there.